A motor driver is used to control the stepping motor. The motor driver has a phase input type, a clock input type, and a serial input type. The phase input type requires control signals for A and B phases to perform step actions. The clock input type requires only clock signals. The serial input type enables cascade connections of multiple motor drivers. This figure shows examples of input signal timing charts and output current waveforms of the phase input and the clock input types. Phase input type uses 3 signals for each phase. For A phase, they are phase A, in A1, and in A2. For B phase, they are phase B, in B1 and in B2. These signals are used to select the direction and the magnitude of a current. Phase A and phase B are used to set the current direction. H represents positive current. L represents negative current. In A1, in A2, and in B1, in B2 are used to select the magnitude of a current. By these 3 signals for each phase, 7 combinations can be made. Examples of timing charts of the full step mode and the half step mode for phase input are shown here. Input signals for A phase are phase A, in A1, and in A2. Input signals for B phase are phase B, in B1, and in B2. Here is output motor current for each. Changeovers of 6 input signals for each phase are equivalent to 1 step. As explained, a motor driver of phase input type is not required to set the excitation. This type controls the magnitude of current, according to the excitation system. When you use the motor driver, check the excitation system that you need in your system, and select suitable motor driver. These are examples of timing charts for the input clock waveform, and the output current waveform for the clock input type. The relationships between the output current waveform and the input clock waveform, for each of full step, half step, and micro step modes, are shown. The distance between the 2 dotted lines corresponds to the output current for 1 step. The output of the current for 1 step per pulse of the input clock waveform is automatically obtained. The motor driver of the clock input type automatically provides a current waveform corresponding to both the set excitation system and the set rotation direction, based on the input clock waveform. Motor drive system has the following typical safety functions. A power supply voltage monitoring function monitors the power supply for driving the motor and for actuating the motor driver. It forcibly keeps the output off until the voltage reaches the prescribed value. This function prevents motor operation trouble immediately after turning on the power supply. An overcurrent detection function monitors the current of the output section of a motor driver and forcibly turns off the output when the current is higher than that limitations. A thermal shutdown detection function turns off the output when the temperature of the chip of a motor driver exceeds the higher limitation.